So the official announcement is that come next local election we will be fielding a single candidate for a single ward in one city council. The intention is to endeavour to get a city councillor elected for the Eastney ward in Portsmouth, which conveniently happens to be this one, but that isn't the only reason that it was chosen. Eastney is I argue that it is somewhat a marginal ward in that it's won almost consistently by the Conservative Party, but only by a relatively small number of votes, talking 200 or 300 out of a potential 10,000 voters living in the area. So I feel that possibly we would have a chance if we can convince enough voters for multiple different parties to side with us in opposition to the current Conservative-run council. The area is one that I feel would be appealed to by the policies that we have. It's an area that's, it's a mix of different demographic groups. It's quite a complex location. There's some rather large expensive houses, there's some areas that are mostly student populated, there's a region that is mostly low income housing, and there's a wide variety of different groups of people that are represented across the ward, and as a result it tends to be quite split on the way in which it votes in the elections. That all three of the main parties in the area are all quite strongly represented in local voters, and as such we would have, I believe, a better chance of getting the smaller number of votes that we would need here compared to in a ward which has one party or another which is particularly strong. Ideally I'd like to work alongside some of the other political parties in the area, particularly the ones that maybe don't have much chance of getting votes in this particular location, the ones that aren't looking to be actually winning seats on the council this time around, and maybe getting them to work alongside us. But I recognise that with most actually major significant political parties, they're not really all that willing to cooperate with each other, and certainly not with a relatively small unknown group like us. This local election will be effectively just a test run to see how things go, how we can campaign, how effective it is, and just generally give a reasonably good first impression. That's why we're only targeting one single location, so that we can put everything that we've got towards that. We will be a party of very limited resources. We'll have very few registered members, we will have very few people who are willing to campaign for us, we will have very limited funding, and as such, to try and contest multiple different elections and spread ourselves over all of them would, it would severely diminish the impact we can have in each of those locations and make it highly unlikely for us to win anything. And I feel that a good solid performance, even if we don't quite manage to win, a good solid performance in one location would give a better impression than losing by a substantial margin in 5 or 6. That's the main idea we want to give of the party, is that we can actually get good numbers of votes rather than just getting just a little handful here and there. And I feel that the next local election in 10 months' time is an opportunity for us to test out. Mainly we will be running a pretty normal traditional campaign, delivering leaflets, possibly knocking on a few doors, possibly getting some billboards or bus stop posters or something put up, just generally to get the word out as to who we are, what we're doing. On top of that, I would like to try organising a few, basically just like positive actions within the local community, such as I don't know, tidying up the local park, or organising events and activities, charitable work around the area, things like that, just to basically say, this is who we are, this is what we do for the local area, and you can vote us into government so that we can continue doing so and have more potential to benefit the area. So that's the kind of angle we're going to go for, and the idea is that over the course of the next 10 months we will build up some level of support in this particular local region and then expand outwards from there, so that the following year we could contest maybe half a dozen different wards in the same council, and then the year after that we could look at multiple separate council elections in other neighbouring cities and other parts of the country, just generally grow at a reasonably slow, steady pace. We're looking at, spreading out over 5 to 10 years to build up towards the point where we can be targeting, the majority of places across the country. There's no real benefit to rushing and trying to get everything done right away, especially when we, as I say, we have very severely limited resources. So what I need to do now, of course, is to look into what we can do of benefit in that specific local area. And I know of a number of different things around here that could definitely be improved, could definitely be looked into and worked with, and some policies that we can put forward that would ideally gain a number of votes across a specific small part of a specific city, in addition to our continuing to promote and advertise our nationwide policies. So we need to kind of balance the two of them against each other, alongside also, of course, working on the party infrastructure, getting more members registered, getting more staff involved, getting websites and so on up and running, things like that. So all in all, it's going to be a busy few months where things are picking up in multiple different areas at the same time, compared to how everything's being run up until now. I definitely think that we're still with a pretty good chance, and that it's going to be quite an interesting ride.